You're listening to The Business Focused Photographer. If you're ready to transform your photography business into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll discuss fun and innovative ways to boost your creativity and income. Sound good? Let's go.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am pretty excited to be talking to one of my friends, Clay Banks. Clay is a real estate photographer who's local to me, who is an absolute rock star. He is like the cream of the crop in the area as far as who you want to photograph your house if you're selling it or leasing it. And I was just telling Clay before we started recording that his demographic as a photographer is really underrepresented, and we don't get to hear from people who do the sort of work that he does. So I was excited that he agreed to come on and kind of share a little bit about day in the life and why he does what he does and how he does it. So welcome, Clay.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So can you take a minute and just talk about like your origin story, how you got into photography, and like specifically this niche?
Sure. I got into photography as a creative outlet. A little bit about me. I am from upstate New York, Roscoe, New York to be specific. And growing up, I always had a knack for the arts. I used to draw and illustrate. I used to animate. I was always in front of a TV playing video games, always wanting to create video games and just, build things with an artistic mind. Fast forward to going to college, getting my career started in software development. That kind of stifled all like creativity. All that came to a halt because I had to focus on being an adult, putting the comics down and focusing on, what I was doing for my professional life. And
Womp womp.
yeah, after 4 or 5 years of that, of being the best corporate employee I could be, I realized I lost that. I lost that creative edge. And overnight, something just told me to try to pick up a camera, which that's something I've never done. I never picked up a DSLR, pointed it at a subject, but it was just something I decided to try just to flex that muscle that wasn't getting worked out. And remember, I bought a Nikon 5300, knew nothing about it. In the same week, I booked my first international flight to Japan. I'm like, I'm going to go to Japan. I'm going to learn how to use this camera while I'm there, and we'll see what happens. So that turned into my short, stint as a travel photographer. I would just book a flight to wherever, bring my camera, shoot waterfalls, mountains, wildlife, and anything that brought me joy. And that kind of led me to shooting people. I would get, people would hit me up and say, well, you can shoot a mountain at sunrise. Can you shoot like a senior college photo? I'm like, I don't see why not. So I started branching out in different areas of photography, and it started out as a hobby. There was a couple years while I was living down south in Charlotte, North Carolina, I got into I forget what the term is, urbex photography. If you don't know what that is like essentially entering spaces like abandoned warehouses and amusement parks and taking like risky photos, like
Okay.
Spaces that weren't technically legal for you to be there. But
Right.
down in Charlotte, it became almost like a contest with all the local photographers. Like, I could break into this spot, no one else can. I'll bring the bolt cutters. And so that really got that kind of evolved it from a hobby into like, it's exciting. It's becoming a passion. Like, I like having my camera on me. I like exploring places and trying to kind of one up the guy before me. So it put that competitive edge into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you go to Grossinger's and the Pines and all that?
I haven't done any of that up here, but
Yeah.
I won't say exactly where I've been. So yeah, that really, while that was driving like my fuel to want to take more and more photos, I was learning more inadvertently. I was becoming more handy. learning to shoot on manual, learning, shoot raw versus JPEG, got into video, shooting in log versus, shit out the camera. And yeah, that really fired it up. And well, there's a big gap there when COVID began, but
but that's like a good transition into how you became more of a real estate photographer because and by the way, is there a better term than real estate photographer for what you do?
that's an easy term. I really enjoy shooting interiors. Um, I'm not where I want to be yet to call myself like an interior architectural photographer. So to save time, yeah, if we can call me real estate, although
Okay.
it's yeah,
I
yeah,
I mean it goes beyond that, but yeah, 2020 hit, and the of course that's synonymous with the pandemic and where we live, but in a lot of places, if you're not that we're not urban, became like a really they started to grow a really competitive real estate market, and short term leases became like out of control. Everybody from the cities were just going into the country and buying these properties to turn into Airbnbs, and so was born a need for a photographer who could really create beautiful images of these spaces to sell them.
yes. COVID, I believe, was the segue into me doing what I do now. A lot of city folk who wanted to get away from crowded areas, the population. If you remember COVID, if you've been to the city during that time, there was no one outside. There was nobody
Right.
anywhere. It was like The Walking Dead,
It was
minus the
so
zombies.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Maybe a couple
so
of zombies, just a few.
that was in the back of my mind. Yeah, there are definitely some zombies. Um, so while this was happening, a lot of real estate was going up for sale. Like you said, a lot of people were buying spaces, getting away from the city. And I remember my one realtor friend randomly asked me about 3 years ago, she's like, "Can you shoot a house?" And I thought, well, I don't see why not. I kind of have experience, shooting abandoned warehouses and stuff like that. How difficult could a house be? And yeah, that one question kind of led me to where I am today. Shooting Airbnbs, shooting unique stays, domes, corporate centers, gymnasiums, all kinds of stuff. I am doing probably 3 shoots a week, spas, all kinds of businesses. So
Right.
it's beyond houses at this point. It's spaces for any purpose, and
Yeah.
have a real passion for it. Yeah.
Well, you're really good at it. Hopefully, at this point, somebody has like went to take a look at your work on Instagram, and it's who you are the person I've directed my mentees in the past to who are interested in like stepping into this genre of photography because you do it in a way that's, by the way, now being copied. Now being copied, so that's how you know you're good. That's, I guess you would call it lifestyle. You very often incorporate humans, props that would indicate this is not just a pristine home that nobody's living in right now. This is a place to live and eat and play and work, um, entertain. Like you're so good at setting up these spots, these homes, these interiors, whatever, to really showcase their potential to live in. And it's such a cool departure from what we're used to with interior photography, real estate photography, even like you're saying when a hotel opens or a spa opens, you're really taking it to the next level where I've told you before, the way that you photograph these spaces absolutely makes people more money than they would have made if they did it with their cell phones.
Yes, I hear that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like it makes it such like an alluring niche to be in because it's hard to, as like a regular family photographer, do that thing where we have to figure out what our client's pain point is and then like speak to that. Because what is your pain point if you need family photos? That you don't have family photos, that you're uncomfortable in front of the camera, like those aren't that dire. But if you need to sell your house, and we're talking about like $500,000, $1 million, like you have a lot of money on the line and you want to get the most money that you can for it, or the highest per night uh, cost, then really the photography is going to solve that problem. I've seen some of and this is only just something that I can say because we live in the same area. I've seen you photograph some spaces that I'm familiar with that are absolute dumps. And you make them look so good. So it's crazy to me why anybody would just not hire you automatically. But anyway, let's take just a quick minute to talk about your gear and then your shoot day workflow. Like we'll just start with gear first, then we'll go into the shoot day.
Sure. My gear is very simple. I shoot on a Sony a7 IV. I have a a7 III as a backup, and I use two lenses. I have a Sony GM2 16 and 35 millimeter. That's for my wide shots. I try to always get a crop shot in. Never a fan of opening it way up, getting three walls in a room. But the 1635, plenty versatile for any space you would need to shoot. And I have my 50 millimeter for the close-up lifestyle shots. Maybe there's like a nice texture on a throw blanket, or there's unique candle holders sitting on like a wooden table. You want to capture those details. The 50 wins every time. And I have a Sony Air 2S drone. Oh, no, I'm sorry, a DJI 2S. And that thing's gimbal is shot. I have a backup drone still in the box, and I need to eventually unbox that. With all these tariffs, DJI is not really, messing with us over here in the States, where it's hard to get DJI equipment nowadays. But yeah, the Air 2S is my go-to drone, and that's it. And a $20 tripod from Walmart.
Sweet. Do you ever use artificial light?
No. Never use flash. Use flash.
Wow. So what do you do to compensate for really, really low light? Are you just embracing grain, or are you now doing like the denoise thing, or?
Yes, the denoise I think was a game changer in low light photography. I use Adobe Lightroom's denoise, and they've had a lot of advancements in it in just the past year, to where you can shoot a pitch black space, add the denoise, and bump the exposure up to like you shot it, midday, and the grains eliminated. I do a lot of masking with windows and shadows, and just kind of like blending it all together, which is kind of what you would bring a flash in for. You want to balance the color, the exposure of the room. But my preferred look is no artificial light. How you see a room with your naked eye is how I want the photo to convey it.
Yeah. That's also what I prefer for indoor, but it can be tough, and you have to be really, 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 really good at artificial lighting to achieve anything that resembles it. And for the most part, it doesn't usually work. Can we talk about your work day of when you arrive to a home, a spa, whatever you're going to photograph? Do you talk with the owners about their goals, anything that they're looking to really focus on, and things like that? Or do you just have free reign and go, and you're the creative mastermind?
If any of my clients are watching this, I apologize, but I prefer you not be there when I'm on the site. I am content with just getting to a house solo, staging how I need to. And that's a major part of any shoot, is I'm not just setting up a tripod and taking a photo. I'm moving a chair so you can see the fireplace. I'm cutting a lemon in half so you can kind of envision someone was just there in the kitchen, like making breakfast, making lemonade, whatever. Getting to a house is, when I'm solo, I thrive. If there's a creative mind say a stylist, or for instance, I recently shot with a creative director who did commercials for Volvo and Amazon. We worked together. We butted heads, but we got some great shots out of it. So it does depend, but yeah, my normal day is say an average size house, 3 bed, 2 bath. I'm in there probably 3 hours shooting, composing. Um, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Um, Say you've got like a dark room and there is a picture hanging on the wall and it's covered in glass. The light coming through the window in that dark room is going to completely wash out that picture hanging on the wall. So I'll take a shot of just like the ambient light of the room. I'll take a second shot where I'll take like a throw blanket, put it over the window, so the painting, the picture is no longer blown out. You can actually see it.
Right.
Blend those photos together. So in a way, I'm doing blending just without the flash, kind of just doing it on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your version of the head swap. That's sounds like a pain in the ass, but it makes sense. So you have like a shot list. I heard you say something about you don't want to see 3 walls. Is that one of the things like that you kind of follow? And in every room, is there like a checklist in your head that you're making sure you go through?
Yes. The first thing I do when I get into a room, I back up as far as you can go. Depending on the composition you're shooting, I love a center shot. Something bothers me about angled shots, but half the time you have to get that to see how like a living room connects to a dining room or the kitchen. But yeah, when I get into a room, I back up, then zoom in until you have just enough to tell the story of the space. There are things you can leave out. There are say there's like a cabinet on the wall, and you want to capture that, but also capture like a bowl of fruit sitting on the counter. You can get just half that cabinet. It's you can get half that cabinet. The eye tells you there's a cabinet there, but it's not the focus, and that's something I think is important to dial in, to crop that shot. It's everybody's on a mobile device, so when they're seeing these horizontal shots, if it's super super wide and you see every wall in the room, you're not going to see like that bowl of fruit. You're not going to see the fine details, which is what I spend so much time composing, and that's like a large part of my process. Just dial it in.
Right. Yeah. And at this point, are you mostly working by referral? Because I imagine once you get in with one realtor, maybe their whole office starts using you, or and then you don't really need to market, or do you find yourself marketing still?
I've done zero advertising in this career.
Screw you, man. Okay.
I shoot part-time. I have a
I know.
full-time career. I do this on the side. I can't handle all the messages in my inbox. I probably have like 6 I have to answer just in the past 24 hours.
Wow.
I couldn't find time to advertise if I wanted to, which is, really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. And I think there's also an element of B2B work that takes that, like the emotion of the transactional part of the relationship is removed when you're working B2B, like business with business to business, where you're giving them a quote. It's not in the budget. It's not in the budget. It's nothing you need to take personally, and then you move on. But I think that's really also appealing too. So sorry, rewind. What now that you're done with the shoot, you go home. What's your editing process? Sounds like you're doing way more than color correcting. Tell us about that.
Sure. I do all my own edits. Very time consuming. I probably spend the majority of the time photoshopping out wires, stains on the stainless steel appliances, smudges on a mirror, leaves on the deck. But my typical workflow is, color correct in Lightroom, because I'm shooting natural light. Specific example, when you're shooting in the middle of summer and there's a big bright window, you're going to get some green color cast from the grass and the trees, and it's going to, kind of color that, those pink walls like green, or make them a weird color. So with the, in Lightroom, that linear that linear gradient tool is like my best friend because you can, target
Yeah.
those areas of color cast and fix them. And then once that's done, I balance the exposure in Lightroom and then I export it to Photoshop. That's where I do my, distraction removal.
Okay. All right. And like what? So it's a couple hours per space that you photograph that you need to spend editing and then deliver. And I'm assuming you do an all digital delivery. It wouldn't make sense. Nobody's looking for framed
Yeah.
prints of these.
People print a lot of the B&Bs I shoot. They'll make a book and stuff, but yeah, I just deliver it digitally.
Really? What do they make a book for? Like a brochure?
So you can look at photos of the house you're currently sitting in.
It's like
I've seen it.
it's a little meta.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Oh, so what have been some of the biggest challenges working in this genre?
I think my biggest challenge, I love a beautiful $2-3 million house. It's good for the portfolio. It makes me feel good when I'm working on a space I feel they spent time making. A lot of those houses are like 2 hours from where I live.
Right.
So,
Right.
usually when I'm like wowed by a space, wowed by a house, I'm like in the Hudson Valley somewhere in a town I've never heard of. So I'd say getting there, but even still, that drive to like Hillsdale or Skaneateles or the Finger Lakes, they always make a trip out of it. So
Are you
the day
getting
before,
called up to Skaneateles?
I've got to
Really?
shoot
Up all the way? Oh God, really?
I got to be there at the end of the month. Yeah,
How did they find you?
Instagram, word of mouth.
Shit. Wow. Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's the commuting that you need to do.
Yeah, it's always the day before. You're like, oh, I gotta drive 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But when you're there, like when you're on the road and you're like passing like beautiful sights, you get your favorite playlist going, roll the windows down, you're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Try a restaurant you never tried, like.
Yeah. I used to hate the because growing up, I'm 3.5-4 hours away from where I grew up, so making that drive just got really old.
Yeah.
Getting older, being like busier, having kids, all that alone time in the car is very welcome. Now I'm like, sure, I'll go down to Beacon. You want to meet in Woodstock? No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The drive, I just drove to Syracuse last weekend, 2.5 hours from me. I love that drive.
Yeah.
I'll take that drive over driving 40 minutes to Eldred any day.
You
Like,
never hit
any day.
traffic. You never hit
No.
traffic. Is there still a Roy Rogers at the rest stop on that? It was the only Roy Rogers in the state for a really long time.
I was only focused on Wegmans. I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, Wegmans.
Couldn't tell you.
I know they have the best. They have the best grocery stores. Okay, so any funny, challenging stories, things that have happened on site, like pets, messy homes, bad lighting. I hope I can't imagine people like have a total shit show for you to photograph when you arrive, or do you find yourself sometimes cleaning up a lot?
It's happened 3 times.
3, you know exactly how many times.
That I've literally had to take dishes out of the sink,
Wow.
shove them in a closet because I'm not washing the dishes. But that's all fine. I get there, I'm like, okay, I'm here for a reason, not here to, potentially lose future business or go back and forth with someone. You never want to spread, bad blood in your own industry.
No.
It makes me think of people who walk out on a job and quit, say, I'm never coming back here again. F you, see you never. Like, your former employer is going to talk to your potential next employer. It's going to cause contention and you probably be out of a job.
It's just also like, this is our job. That's the other thing is like, you like can't be a prima donna when you're a service provider. You're doing something for somebody else. Well, maybe that was not like in the scope of your normal responsibilities.
Yes.
You're also not washing them. You're sticking them in a closet.
I literally just shove them in a closet.
Right. So no, it's all about client relations and maintaining that reputation. Absolutely.
Yes. That being said, I did almost walk out of my first job recently. That one creative director I mentioned earlier in the podcast we did more than butt heads. I never want to see that guy again. The shoot took forever. We kept bickering about where, like, let me back up. It was great to work with him. We will never work together again. That was my biggest challenge. Like, almost having to tell him to go play in traffic. But like we said, we're not prima donnas. We're here to do work. But that shoot specifically, it was interesting because I felt like the job that I was hired to do was getting stifled by someone else's ideas. And it's good to collaborate always. I've learned a lot from difficult people to work with. But that particular shoot was, I didn't feel like I was doing what I was hired to do. And it caused like a lot of how do you say, I didn't enjoy it. Yeah. Let me do my job.
It's group projects. I had, I listen, this is number one. This is why I work for myself. It's probably why a lot of photographers work for themselves. Like, we don't want to have to worry about somebody else's input when we're doing something creative.
Yes.
I think specifically about a time in high school. This is, I don't know, I graduated in 2004, so a really long time, 21 years ago, but more than that. I did a group project in art. It was a ceramics class, and the girl, we were like polar opposites as far as artists go, and she knocked over the thing in its final stages, and like, I was so pissed. I think I acted like a prima donna that day, but it's like, this is why we work for ourselves. And I think that a lot of wedding photographers will like sign off on this notion that it is hard to work with these people who are overseeing the entire project. It's the worst experience I had in recent years. Wasn't even a job I was working. It was one of my associates. And it was this crazy, crazy 3-day long 60th birthday party at a resort that they just booked. And the planner was so mean and so managing. It was like, just, this is why I don't work for other people, because I'm on your side. I'm sure he sucks. Okay, moving on. No more low vibing. What are some trends that you're seeing in the industry, and like maybe foresight into potential opportunities for expanding this business you've built?
Sure. One trend I've seen, and I think that's why in this area, focusing on the quality of the real estate, shoot is so important, is a lot of brokerages they're not just hiring a photographer to shoot, an illustrious cabin with a sauna and a hot tub and a fire pit and, a massage on call. These brokerages are like building a brand themselves, and they need that high quality imaging. They need those reels for their, social feeds. It's no longer just a guy walking into a house with a flash, blowing out all the walls, bleached white. It is like you're selling a lifestyle, and
Right.
that's for people who don't, live in the Catskills and like fantasize about it. That you want to get as good a story as possible, and this is why I've seen a lot of brokerages veering in that direction and selling the dream of living here. The second half of your question, what was it?
So, what sort of evolution do you see in your business, but in your industry in particular, whether it be use of video, content creation, 3D
Mhm.
tours, drone work, what people are asking for that you think maybe you're going to have to add to your offer suite, or learn a new skill to fulfill their needs?
For me specifically, video. I have been, teaching myself, learning the ins and outs of videography. And if you can tack that onto your services, you're a powerhouse. I see video of space that will make me say, "Oh my God, that makes me want to visit this property." So video really is the next, missing link to like a whole, you know, full circle package that I could offer. I do shoot video, but
Right.
I'm not where I want to be whatsoever. But yeah, I've got some time off. I've been really honing in on it, and yeah, learning slowly but surely.
Cool. Did you ever
Yeah,
get that gimbal out of the box? And because weren't we talking about a gimbal? I
it's
think I
still in the
asked you
box.
about it. Yeah,
It's still brand new.
they're intimidating.
It's
They're
DJI, so if anybody's
yeah.
interested.
Yeah, well, okay. I would ask the cliche question like any tips for photographers considering this, but that is kind of a hard question to answer. And while you're in this, it's hard to really pull out and look at what got you to where you are objectively, but can you think back to any key decisions, whether or not they were intentional, moves that you made that got you from a guy who liked Urban X, or what did you say? Urbex?
Urbex.
Urbex.
It's
Yes,
short for urban exploration,
makes sense. From
aka
Urbex and
breaking and entering.
but from there and travel photography and a hobbyist to really a specialist, the go-to person in not just the Catskills, but Hudson Valley, Finger Lakes, it seems, where and I know that you work with brands too. What do you think were some of the things that you did that got you to where you are? And is there anything that you would do differently at this point if you could do it all over again?
Just stay at it is the only advice I can give because I didn't do anything special. Um, I was just listening to a podcast right before this. I think it was called the Atomic Habits
James
was the
Clear.
podcast. Really, no, it's actually an audio book.
Yeah, it's a
But this
great
guy
book.
made this analogy. Is that it?
Yeah, James Clear,
Yeah,
Atomic Habits.
great
Wonderful
book.
book.
He had this
Dan
analogy
is
about
rereading it right
bamboo.
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
good. I like the audio because I don't gotta, strain the eyes. Yeah. The analogy was he was talking about bamboo and how bamboo spends the majority of its life rooting itself underground. You don't see it at all. But every day it's building itself more and more and more to, sustain itself. And then one day it just shoots out the ground like tens of feet in the air, 100 feet in the air, however big bamboo grows. And a lot of the beginning of that book is just talking about keep at what you're doing. It's not going to pay off tomorrow, but where you'll be like 10 years from now, you're going to look back and say, I put in the work. So that is the only advice I can give for really anything in life that you want to pursue is just keep doing it. Don't give up.
That is so true. My mentor always said the secret to being an overnight success is 10 to 15 years of really hard work. And
Yeah,
it's true.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is. Like you don't ever see it's that corny iceberg picture that we had in a classroom at some point where it's
Oh,
like you don't see everything that's coming before it. And it sometimes can look like it was just an overnight success for somebody.
I'm so
Um
glad I didn't go with the iceberg. The
were
bamboo
you
is way
gonna
more.
the bamboo
No.
is cooler.
Yeah. Yeah. Bamboo is
Yeah.
cooler.
That is a great book for anybody to read. And we only do audiobooks, I should clarify as well. We don't
Oh, yeah.
how do you read with your eyes?
Who
I don't
reads
know. Like
anymore?
how do you even like find that you have to do it while you're driving and like editing and everything else? You have to be multitasking. It's the only way. Uh so can I ask you super quickly about how you figure out pricing and how that's evolved?
For me, I had to price around the free time that I had available to shoot, and the more demand, the the more I had to charge. And since I began 3 years ago, I definitely have priced out a few cheaper clients. Not that that was ever my intent, but I had to value my own time, and that led to actually working a lot less and making more because you have high paying clients. And I'm just sticking with that. And yeah, it's worked out. It really has. And I think there's a couple of photographers locally around here that ask me, they're trying to get into the same market and do what I do. And the first thing I tell them is value your time. Don't be the cheapest guy on the street. People will treat you as such and not respect your time, and your work will show. You can burn yourself out easy that way. If you're people used to go to Walmart for cheap prices and not the mom and pop shops. Well, no, Walmart's charging just as much, if not more, for the same goods. Yeah, yeah, it's a good model. Work less, do more, high quality work.
Yeah, that's the dream. That's the goal. And I think like there's a stage of business where you really can't command the higher price point until you have the reputation and the body of work. But if you ever look back, I don't know about what your super early commissioned work looks like, but mine is total shit. So like I really could not have been charging $1,200 then, but now, so it really is. But yes, and when you are super cheap, you become a hired gun. People are like, all right, here's somebody I can boss around with a camera for $300 for a day. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that. That's awful. That's awful. Okay, great. And do you do like a flat rate, or do you have like add-ons that people can do? And is there a travel fee?
Yes, there is. I have 3 tiers. Standard, deluxe, premium. You get more with each higher tier. I have add-ons such as video, Instagram reels, floor plans, property maps, brochures, and there's a lot of value in those add-ons.
For real.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the time, what I've been doing lately is someone will want drone images. I'll take a 30, 45-second drone video without them asking for it, and then I'll say, hey, I have this video. Do you want to purchase it? And no one has ever said no. So good to have add-ons for sure. Yeah. Increase your value.
That's a good move.
Yeah.
That I just heard of somebody else in I think the same industry talking about that move as like you get that stuff and then, or like if they turned you down. Yeah, it was somebody on another podcast talking about being turned down after quoting somebody and staying in the Airbnb and taking the photos while they were there and like saying, hey, just so you know, I got these photos if you want, like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more integrity in what you're doing than that, but yeah, of course, why not? And you know how much work it actually takes for you to produce that, so probably is totally worth it. Well, thank you for coming on.
One more note
Yeah,
about
yeah.
my price increase over the past year. You inspired me to do that through our talks. So I got to shout you out for that.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you the funny story? We have a mutual client. I photograph their family. He's a realtor. You photograph the places he's selling. He asked me at the end of a family session last year if I shot interiors. I'm like, no, I always refer to Clay. Like I have no business doing that. And like, you're gonna get your money's worth with Clay. And he's like, oh yeah, he just got so expensive. Like, sorry to say. And I literally told him, like, I told him to raise his prices. But you
It's your
have to
fault.
when you know what? I mean, he admitted, he was like, he is worth it. He is worth it. I get it. I mean, your photos literally make people thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a worthwhile investment at any rate. Which yeah, I really, if you haven't already gone over to Clay's Instagram, do it. Are you still selling things like presets and things like that for people who want to emulate your style?
Yeah, I have a couple presets. One is for interiors. Yeah,
Cool. Cool.
found,
Yeah.
found
So
that on my website.
yeah, check Clay out. Super friendly guy. Follow him. He's also funny. Any advice before we end for homeowners and realtors? The number one thing that they should do before a shoot.
Before a shoot,
Yeah.
clean your mirrors. Clean your mirrors. It is surprisingly difficult to Photoshop the smudges out because you're seeing a reflection behind the smudges, but it's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Clean the house. That's all. Make sure it's clean.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a house cleaner is not that expensive either when you consider. So just get it done. Get it done,
Yes.
people. Don't leave your dishes in your sink. All right. Well, where can people find you online if they want to learn more, copy
Yeah.
you, buy your presets?
I spend half my life on Instagram. You can follow me at clay.banks. That's clay period banks. Hit me up for any questions. I'm always happy to chat. Always happy to share ideas and give advice or take advice. Yeah, that's it.
Super. And claybanks.com.
Claybanks.info is my website.
Claybanks.info. All right. Well, thank you so much, Clay. I hope that we've inspired some people to consider this niche. And yeah, I really appreciate you not gatekeeping anything. That was awesome.
Yeah, open book.
Yeah. All right. Have an awesome
Thanks, Joe.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So until next time, keep shooting, keep creating, and keep building the business that supports your dreams. Have a fantastic week. And remember, in the business of photography, your creativity is your biggest asset.